We started yesterday a Maimer from the Alter Rebbe Likktei Torah, Parshas Bihaloscha, page 58. And the last thing we were discussing is the difference between the Avodah of Aaron, the Avodah of Avram Avinu, that Avram Avinu is the Avodah of Memata L'mayla, Holech v'neisei Negba, and Aaron, Legabe Avram Avinu was the Avodah of Milmayla L'mata. And that's the difference between Abba Elam and Abba Rabba. Now we're holding Ois Daled. And this is why, and with this we can understand why Chazal instituted in Shemona Esrei, we say, Slach lanu, forgive us, ki chatanu, because we sin. When do we say this? Achar kriya shema, shemekabel olav il malchus shemayim, u'mitzvah v'hafta. We dafka say the idea of Slach lanu, the idea of tachlon, dafka after kriya shema. So what's the idea of kriya shema? Kriya shema is you're accepting the yoke of malchus shemayim and the mitzvah of to love Hashem. And we explained yesterday about Richos, how can you get to the level of a hafta? So we said through the different hizbonos, like we explained yesterday. So the Alter Rebbe says, it says in Tehillim, Evilim miderech pisham u'me'aviniseim yisanu. What does it mean? The sins in the way of negligence or sins, and from the sins yisanu, what does that mean? Piddush. Al aviniseim heim misanim v'osim tshuva. That through their sins, they afflict themselves, and they do tshuva. Upisham, and what does it mean? Pisham shegodlam aviniseim, which are greater than the sins. Why? Ki pshoim. What's pshoim? Elu shehamarodim. These are the people that rebel. Afabichein heim avilim mehem. Why? Ki lo yadu derech pisham. That still they don't know their sins. V'lei mi pisham mamish ela miderech pisham. Not their sins mamish, but the way of their sins. What's the way that a person can get to the level of pesha, of sins? This is through casting the yoke of malchus shemayim. What does that mean? Because Hashem is not somebody that we see like a melech basar v'dam. So he says, therefore, when it comes to Kriya Shema, shemekabel olav, shemekabel il malchus shemayim, which we explained. What's the idea of Kriya Shema? He's being mekabel malchus shemayim umarich be'echad, and he's prolonging in the idea. He's thinking into the concept of echad by dezeh, and through that magila ve'hafta. You come to the level of ve'hafta. What does that mean? Liyos chofetz begilei elihusi yisparech ushlayachshich hacheshich mimenu. That you desire the revelation of Hashem, and that there's no darkness. V'aza yismar mer hu ma'oid, and then you get very bitter. Yavin, and you understand she's chetu pesha, that you have, that there's the idea of chet, there's the idea of pesha, shaydei za'achayshich mashrich, and through the sins that there's concealment. That you're very, very distant from Hashem. So this is all through Kriya Shema. Through Kriya Shema, through being misbonen and having kabbalah so malchus shemayim, and you're prolonging and thinking about the idea of echad, you come to the level of a hafta, that all you want is the revelation of Hashem. You don't want any concealment, so you're very bitter, and you're feeling a sense of down because you have chet. Because a person has a chet, he has a pesha, and this conceals a person. This brings a lot of darkness, that is very, very far from Hashem. So what do you say? We say in Shemona Esrei, Slach lanu, forgive us. So he says, so that's why, because that's the idea of meridus. The idea of meridus, you're bitter about the cheshach. So the loy dai b'meridus means bana shebishas Kriya Shema. So it's not enough just to be, I'm feeling bad and I'm feeling down and I feel very sad that I'm so far from Hashem and I have such cheshach. That's not enough. So the Rebbe says, a person has to set times. What does that mean, set times? This is why they set up the idea of tikkun chatzos, to establish, to set up this merirus in your soul. So, and this is what it means, bizochrenu, you remember. Which this is the idea of malchus shemayim, Commission is bar, but has explained elsewhere. By can also through the idea of meridus. But meridus when? when by Tikkun Chatzeis, dafka through that, Bezochreinu Esiyain, dafka through that, the idea of Machal Shemayim, do we come to the level of Gilei Elikus. Now, Hine HaGoyim Schar Mitzvah, we said, what causes? What's the Schar Mitzvah? Here, Mitzvah Atzma is the Mitzvah itself. What does that mean? Sha'ateirev HaMitzvah is Heim Hamshachas Gilei Elihusi Yisparach Lamata. That Teira Mitzvahs are the Hamshachas, are the revelation of Hashem down over here. He says, V'zeu, and this is what David HaMelech says, Hoyseli dim osi. Behold, my tears was lechem yom v'layla, was like bread day and night. Ve'emar elai, which I said, kol hayom ayalehecha. I said the whole day, where's Hashem? What does that mean? What does David HaMelech mean by saying hoyseli dim osi lechem v'layla? Ve'emar elai kol hayom ayalehecha. Pirush, what does that mean? Shaitei of amiras hanal, through having this crying and this bitterness. Zeicha, what is he zeicha? To lechem. What's lechem? Shehi teda. He zeicha to the level of teda. So v'heisali dimasi, when a person is a level of dimasi and merirus, he zeicha to the level of lechem, the level of teda. Now, Shneimar Bo, what does it say about teda? V'gisa bei yomim v'layla, that you toil day and night. So first of all, you have the dimasi, and then through the dimasi, a person is zeicha to the level of lechem. So, and what do we say? It's yom v'layla, that when the person sets aside the merirus, so it causes that he should have this revelation of Hashem when kol hayim. But if you're only going to pay attention to it at the time of davening, it's a very proper time l'mayla. Because dafka b'shas hatfila, a person can arouse the level of meichen galus. But however, after davening kol hayom eine ela yidei ateda. So davening is very important, and you're able to draw down the level of meichen galus. There's a you can be more certain levels there. But if you want to have this level kol hayom, if you want to have that you should have this gilei likus constantly, the only way to do it is dafka through the learning Torah. So that's what it means. V'hoysali dimasi. David HaMelech says that when you have this level of dimasi, then you're zeicha to Torah, and you can have this level of gilei likus yom v'layla only through the level of Torah. But then he says, "V'zeu ba'amram elai kol hayom ayalehecha," and this is what he says when they say to me, "Kol hayom ayalehecha," where is Hashem? What does it mean? Aye, kol hayom ayalehecha. How come a person says, "I daven, I learn chassidus, I daven, and I have a great davening," and then after davening, I feel like nothing really affected me, because, and the Aveda wasn't a real Aveda, because if it was a real Aveda, then I would never have machshava zara, so I would be holy a whole day. So he says, Shaloi dai b'shas tefillah levad. Not only is davening enough, you have to have this constant bread day and night through Torah. Which this is the revelation of Hashem. And it's not impossible to have this revelation of Hashem. Only you have to have this mirrors. Because if you don't have the mirrors, then you'll just remain in the same place. So therefore, that's why you have to preface, the Alter Rebbe explains Barichas, the idea of Shakuvah. So what Alter Rebbe is explaining in Dalet is the reason why Chazal instituted the idea of saying Slach Lanu, Hichatanu, that we say the idea of Tachnun after Kriyishma, which the idea of Kriyishma is we're saying it's Makabel, O Malchus Shemayim, and Mitzvahs. And this is through the idea of V'ahavta. And then he says, on the pasuk Evilim Miderach Pishem U'Aveneseim Yisanu, he says that the Aveneseim are the sins that you and you're doing tshuva, and the pshayim are even a greater sins. So the idea is that a person, he wants to connect with Hashem. However, he has choshech and pesha, that's the idea of prikas el. And that's why by Krishma, when we kabel Omach Shemayim and Yimarich Be'echad, through that a person comes to the level of the Hafta, that there should be no darkness whatsoever, and then he's bitter. He's bitter why he's so dark from Galus. And then what does he say after he's Mekabel Omach Shemayim and he wants to get to the level? So then he realizes that he realizes that he has all this chayshach, all this Galus, which is blocking the Gilei Likus, and this is the level of Merirus that he can come to the level of Gilei Likus. So the Rebbe says is that this Merirus is it's not enough. In other words, by Krishma, by davening, it's a very important avodah, but you need to have first of all Likktei itim, which that's Tikkun Chatzos, and then through that you'll be zeichet to the Gilei Likus. And this is what he says, the Schar mitzvah, that the Torah mitzvahs are the amshachas of the Gilei Likus down over here. And this is what David HaMelech means. He explains that the Masi is the Miridus, Lechem is the Torah. And if you want to have this feeling, this Gilei Likus, constantly, not only by davening, so it has to be dafka in a way of Lechem, dafka in a way of Torah. And that's what it means by Meri like a person's crying and saying, how come I don't feel like such a great davening and such a great morning? How come I don't feel? How come it doesn't last a whole day? Okay, hey. Just like the Alter Rebbe says, I explained the idea of Hoysalidim Masi Lechem, Obinyan Eich Shaidi Hamiridus Dafka. Nimshach Pinas Abba Rabba the Arlius Ayin Ba'ayin Nira, so Dafka through the level of Miridus. You're able to draw down the level of Abba Rabba, the level of Arin, which is Mil Maila Lamata. And we explained what does that mean? That the same Gilei Likus that you had over there, that goes on upstairs, you're zeicha that you get it down over here as well. So he explains, Hine kol zehu akdama levar lehaskil al derev zemamish inyan hadlokas aniris b'shemen. Now with this preface, now we can understand what we started to explain yesterday. This that Aaron's lighting all 7 candles. So he said, what's the idea of Aaron lighting 7 candles? Because b'chlalos there are 7 types of yidden, and these yidden, every yid has a different kav, a different way of how he serves Hashem. Some people express their love through the level of chesed, some through gvura, some through tiferes, which is Torah. So we explained that Berichas yesterday. So he says, Yikmeish Hashemen, just like in regards to oil. Koitz and tchila koshes lamer. First, how does oil work? You first have to crush it, which is crushed for the luminary. V'gam osum izesim, and also you make it through olives, and then from olives v'hazesim heimarim. So again, K'mosh Hashem Kais and Tchila Kos Lamor v'gam osum izesim v'hazesim heimarim, and the zeisim are very, very bitter. So he says like this: Kach hine hadlakas v'amshochas ha'ava kedish be'esh shel heves habam m'chinas ha'iyah hanal. So this lighting of the candles, and to have this burning fire, which comes from the level of Re'iyah, that it should be revealed down to this world, who I did B'chinas Shemen Kasis. So this is through the level of the oil. Which oil? Oil which is crushed. The Hainu, which means, what does that mean? This is through humility. The Shafu Ruach is to be very, very, to be humble. Kamayim, like it says, B'nafshi ka'afar, we say in davening every day, my soul is like dust, Akel tia before you. By behind our days, through realizing and contemplating how low the nefesh is, like eich yardim me'akim kveda, ve'eich hamakim v'azman heim rechoikim me'oid panav yisparech. So you think that the neshama came from such a high level, and then where does it goes down into this world? V'gam shayidei zeh yismar ala hepech, and then you feel very bad. What happens? I think it was the Rebbe told. There's a sikha about it in the early Chalakim, but I believe the Rebbe, our Ashkenazi Olav from Kfar Chabad, he was complaining to the Rebbe about something about learning, and like maybe he felt, I don't know the details of, maybe he was a bacher, he felt that nobody's at his level in learning, or so the Rebbe told him, again, I don't know if it's, the Rebbe told him this word, I don't know what it's negeh, but he told him, we say everything, what's the connection? You're saying that the David Melech is saying, my soul is like kafar lakol tia, it should be like psach libi. So the Rebbe told him that it has to be that in order for psach libi b'ser sech, in order to have a person should have an open heart in Torah, that Torah should affect him, that he should understand Torah, it's dafka through v'nafshik kafar lakol tia, dafka when he has the level of bittul, the level of shiflos. Okay, fine. And he says, behold, it says okay, we'll stop over here. All right.